Alright, this is John Golden with DiscountJuicers.com. Today we have another exciting episode for you, and today will dispel the myths of the Omega VSJ843 being discontinued. So definitely stay tuned, and aside from that, we're also going to get into the 3 best alternatives if you were looking for a VSJ and unable to get one because there are some issues with the VSJ843 right now, as you will learn this episode. And I'll be covering the pros and cons and how the VSJ compares to each one of these 3 juicers in a little bit. Try to do this in a short format because my videos tend to be a bit long, and I know a lot of people just want the answer. Which one do I get? And the answer is not that simple, as you will determine. And then finally, at the end of this episode, actually, I'll be juicing about 1.5 pounds of carrots in each juicer so you can see the results and see what to expect with your juicer, alright? So the first thing I want to dispel is that Omega, as far as I am aware, and I'm a retailer of Omega, I'm in close contact with them basically every business day. I don't talk to them on the weekends, I'm off. They did not discontinue the VSJ843, although they have discontinued other models in the past. For example, their original vertical juicer, the VSJ330, was discontinued. They have discontinued the VRT350. That's also been discontinued. And so they have the VSJ843 as their current vertical, as well as the MMV700, which is also out of stock at this time. And they also have some stock remaining of the VRT400. I'm not exactly sure, the status and if they're going to discontinue those models. Now, recently, Omega did also discontinue the Omega NC900, but the NC800 is still a current product, okay? And that's the NC900 HDC. We still do have about 100 pieces left of the Omega 900 HDSS, which is a stainless steel version. So get that soon if you want it, because probably when they're gone, they're probably going to be gone, all right? So anyways, there's been major supply issues with Omega and the VSJ843. I don't really exactly know why this is occurring. I could only kind of guess and throw my guesses out there. I'm not saying any of these are accurate by any means. I could only think that, number one, there's been a rush on juicers because of COVID, and they did not accurately, make orders in advance because they have to put orders into the factory in Korea to get the machines made and then shipped over here to the US. So they didn't properly, accurately project how much quantity they will need. Maybe they didn't, make enough at the factory and having supply line issues because the factory may have been off because of the COVID virus, maybe because of the transportation between here and Korea, where all these machines are made, is slowed down a little bit. Maybe because they're just, having problems at Omega internally because maybe their company is maybe having some issues because of cash flow. I mean, there's so many things that you could kind of guess to say, why don't they have in stock? Because I want one and I want it now. And you can't get one. And this is, trust me, I know each one of you guys have been wanting a VSJ, is frustrated. Trust me when I tell you guys, honestly, that I am more frustrated than you, because here's the thing. Each one of you guys might want one. The problem is, all you guys are emailing me, like every day I get like 5, 6, 7, 8, 12 different emails. John, is a VSJ in stock yet? Because it's basically a moving target date. And, it's supposed to come in, didn't come in. So let me tell you the whole story, okay? So around 6/23, right, we were out of stock on the VSJ843 in the silver color. We still have the red, and if you're lucky, you got a red model before we sold out on those on 7/14, so that's just a couple weeks later. On 6/23, I was told also the ETA, and that's estimated, a little underscore, estimated when you're dealing with Omega, time of arrival was going to be 8/7. And I was like, okay, I'm going to wait till 8/7, and, I told people that it's going to come in on 8/7 because that's what the information I had. On 8/6, I checked with Omega again. They said, yes, 8/7, we should get it in stock. And I'm like, okay, good, they're going to get it in tomorrow. And then 8/7 rolled by, no inventory, no messages from Omega. On 8/9, I was told there is a delay and that they'll contact me when they know a future ETA or what the new ETA is. And I'm not exactly sure at this time why there's a big delay. If it's like, problems at port, if the juicers didn't ship. It's a whole supply line chain issue. On 8/10, I was then told that it's going to be either 8/18 or 8/19, and as I learn the due dates, I share with my customers the new dates. And then by 8/19 rolls around, I'm like, okay, finally, it's going to be here. They didn't get in, and then on 8/19, I was told it's going to be in on 8/26. So then I updated the website once again, and guess what? 8/26 rolled around, didn't get them in stock. And now I'm being told that it's not going to be until 10/2. So basically, they were out of stock since June, July, August, September, October, and they're going to be back in stock. So 4 months, Omega will be out of stock on the VSJ843, which is, in my opinion, their best-selling vertical juicer that I'm aware of. I mean, I can't see their sales figures, but it's definitely my best-selling juicer, and that's simply because it works really well. It's a time-proven product. I mean, it's been out a number of years, but just because it's old, it's an oldie but a goodie. It is still solid performer, even compared to newer juicer technology of today. It provides the easiest cleaning experience and the least hassle overall. Although it also has its own pros and cons, like every juicer does. So because the machine will not be available until 10/2, or even if the machine is available because you're watching this after the machine's back in stock, you may want to consider some alternatives, because some of the alternatives offer different features, often maybe even a lower price point, and offer things that the VSJ843 can't. So that's what this video is completely about. Because you cannot get the 843, I'm going to suggest you my 3 best alternatives, right? And I don't choose these alternatives lightly. I've used each one of these juicers in depth for a period of time so that I know their inherent capabilities and their flaws, and I'm here to share that with you guys because I represent all the major brands of juicers, and I don't just love Omega, or I just don't love Kuvings, or I don't love Tribest, I don't just love Namawell. I like each of the companies for specific reasons, and please understand, each juicer has their own set of pros and cons. Each set of juicer, when you buy a juicer, you're going to get certain things that it does great, certain things that it doesn't do so great, and certain things that maybe just can't do it all. And so, like, imagine this instance, right? I know a lot of you guys in your head, whether you're married or single, have this idea in your head of the ideal girlfriend, boyfriend, or whatever, and you meet a person, and they, like, check all the boxes off your list, except they don't take out the garbage, or except, they don't work out and they're not buffed and they're a bit flabby. I mean, except whatever it is, I don't know, whatever you're on your criteria list. But it's highly unlikely, unless you won the lottery, you're going to find somebody that meets all your criteria and all the things that you want in a person that you're going to find, right? And juicers are like that. You're basically, there's not a perfect juicer, although I like the VSJ a lot. There's some downsides to it that I'm not a particular fan of. With some juicers, you might, I want you guys to check as many boxes off on the list as you guys can. So just be aware of this in advance before you buy any juicer. Now, the other thing that I'm proud to say is that all these machines you're seeing on the table here are made in South Korea. South Korea makes the finest quality vertical juicers. Because the only other option basically for juicers where they're being made at this time that I'm aware of is in China for the vertical juicers anyways, and China does not put out, in my opinion, good quality vertical juicers that are durable and are going to last a significant amount of time and a product that you can trust. All the companies that have been making these juicers, the factories where they're made, have been in business for many years making juicers, and they got it dialed in, and they're doing an extremely good job at it, and that's why I represent these companies. I mean, I guess let's just go ahead and introduce each of these machines. So, of course, this is the Omega VSJ843 QS. The Q stands for the square model, the S stands for the silver. Now, Omega did have a round model previously. That's completely discontinued. You will not be able to find those anymore. I do not recommend the round model because the round models, got discontinued before they made an upgrade or they changed the specifications on the motor. So now the motor on the VSJs made after 2018, late 2018 as far as I'm aware, are a little bit more powerful and don't have the issue with stopping on carrots as they once did because they actually have more torque. I don't like to mention prices in my videos because the prices do change, but I will say if each subsequent model is more or less than the VSJ843, and by the amount of difference. And of course, I'm only quoting prices in the US dollars because I am located in the USA and I'm a distributor in the USA and I do not ship outside the country. Alright? So that's the VSJ843, runs at low and slow 43 RPMs. It's basically set up only to juice. It doesn't have any multi-functions, you know, although you can easily make nut milk in it, and actually is the juicer I like the best on the table here for making nut milk. Other foods you can process in the VSJ include nut butters and frozen fruit sorbets, although there's no attachment to do so. Omega has approved the use. When I last spoke with the vice president of the Omega, they said, oh yeah, if you do it like you showed in your video, John, we'll approve any warranty claims. You know, so I have a video that I'll post down below, so it shows you how to make sorbets and nut butters with the standard juicing screen. Although, if that's something you want to do in a blue moon, that's great. You could probably use the VSJ. But if it's something you want to do a lot, then I would definitely recommend a different style juicer. All right. Next up, we got the Slowstar made by Tribest. The Slowstar runs at a few RPMs higher than 43 RPMs. It runs at 48 RPMs, so this is an insignificant difference in my opinion. This machine is actually $20 less than the VSJ843. It stands a little bit more taller, a little bit more stout, and I definitely will say the motor is more powerful. I mean, all these juicers will basically work the same. The juice is the same. The yields may vary a little bit depending on what you're juicing. This juicer will put more pulp in the juice, although this machine also has more torque on the motor to power through things. The other thing I will say about this is it comes with a whole separate attachment to put on here that they call a mincing attachment. The mincing attachment will allow you to grind up things like coffee, mince up things like garlic and herbs. I've even made salsas by putting all the different ingredients for salsa through with a mincing attachment attached, and it just grinds up everything to a really nice salsa pico de gallo consistency. In addition, you can make sorbets and nut butters with this machine, and this is the only machine that has a special attachment to do that processing, so it allows you the greatest probably flexibility of them all. Now the VSJ843 and the Slowstar have the same exact size feed chute for the most part, which is the second largest on the table here. All right. Next, going on to the Namawell Juicer is basically a vertical auger juicer, much like the VSJ843. It's actually the same price as the VSJ843, and it has the smallest feed chute from measuring the top feed chute. It does have actually dual feed chutes, one on the top and one on the side entry. I'll use both, but the side entry one is a bit bigger, but the side entry is a little bit hassle to use, you know, in my personal opinion. That being said, the Nama is actually made in the same exact factory as the Omega VSJ843, and it is the same exact price. Up till now, I did not mention the warranties on the machine, so the warranty on the VSJ843 is 15 years from Omega. The Slowstar juicer has a 10-year warranty from Tribest, and the Nama juicer, they advertise it in big, large, bold print on their website as a 10-year warranty with a small little asterisk. And if you read down the asterisk, so then people think, oh, this has a 10-year warranty, and they stop there. They just, people don't read the asterisk. But if you read the asterisk, what it'll say is that the motor base has a 10-year warranty, but all the parts have a 2-year warranty, which is, you know, the shortest warranty on any of the juicers on this table, because as I said, 15 full years on the motor and the parts, 10 years on the motor and the parts, and 10 years on the motor, 2 years on the parts. So that's the thing where I think the Nama falls short. Now the thing is this, the Nama and the VSJ is made in the same factory, and it is actually made by Huram for Omega or for Nama. You know, Omega's had a partnership with Huram for many years to make their juicers to their specifications, and it is a solid performing machine. And then they basically import it, so the warranty will be handled by Omega. That's been in business, I think, like 35 years now in the United States. Tribest has been in business in the United States over 30 years, whereas Nama, they have been doing business in the United States with different companies. The Nama company actually was only started in 2018, and I believe they started selling juicers in 2019. So they're a relatively newer company, basically selling a time-proven Huram juicer product. Now, the reason why I'm not showing a Huram juicers on the table today is because I just got an Instagram instant direct message saying, John, where can I get service for my Hurom? They're not supporting the warranty. And like, I don't know where else you would go to Hurom to get their machines repaired besides Hurom. I mean, I could repair the machines if I had the parts, but I don't have a supply of parts on hand to fix them. I know all about these machines are not very complex. So yeah, if you can't get support, then you will not, you know, what good is a machine if you guys have a broken machine? And I've gotten more than a number of complaints about the service that Hurom USA is providing. In addition, I will disclose that I'm not a dealer for the Hurom. I am a dealer for all these different brands, juicers. Okay, so yeah, the smallest feed chute, but pretty much the results are going to be same as, pretty close to the VSJ843 in yield and in these kinds of terms. In addition, this provides a bit more powerful motor with even more torque, and the juicing parts, while they look fairly similar, they're a little bit different. I'll probably maybe get into that a little bit. I don't want to, you know, make this video too long for you guys, all right? And then this machine also comes with a coarse sieve strainer, so you could put more pulp in your juice if that is desired. In addition, it also comes with a Sorbet Screen that allow you to make frozen fruit sorbets and nut butters with this machine. So that's actually a nice functionality to have on this machine. Finally, we have the Kuvings C7000. This is my favorite model, Kuvings. This model is actually $50 more than the VSJ, but unlike these other juicers, this machine has the largest feed chute of them all. This has a 3-inch wide feed chute, which is larger than the Slowstar and the VSJ843, and of course the smallest feed chute, if you're just counting the top chute, because that's what I count mostly, is the Nama. So that means you may have to pre-cut certain items, and it can significantly increase your juicing time. So like I like to juice romaine hearts. In all these, actually in the Kuvings, I might be able to shove the whole romaine heart in whole without pre-cutting, but in the VSJ and the Slowstar, I can cut the romaine heart in half, and it pretty much will fit in. But in the Nama, I have to cut it into quarters, so then I have to like feed in like 4 times instead of feeding in twice on these machines, or once on the Kuvings, provided I have a small, you know, romaine heart. Because I always juice a romaine, you know, the small romaines in the packages is a 3 that they come organic, or 6 if you get them at Costco. So yeah, so that will save you a lot of time. Now this machine is supported by Kuvings in the USA. The manufacturer in Korea has been in business for many years, but Kuvings has been in business at least for 10 plus years in the USA, so they're also a more established company. Now this machine has a 10 full year warranty on the entire machine. Now the next element I want to discuss is, you know, when we're talking about the warranties, you know, that's something that's very important because I want you guys to be juicers for life. I don't want you guys to buy a cheap disposable Chinese juicer, which if I remember I'll post a link down below, while you probably shouldn't buy a Chinese juicer on, you know, different big box popular websites. But the main thing is I want you guys to be a juicer for life, and if you have a good solid juicer that's built properly, that has a good powerful motor, that's not going to burn out on you, that's going to work, right? It's just going to be durable and you're not going to have issues with it, you know. These models are all time proven. Now, yes, they all each have some inherent flaws or issues you could have with each of them. But the main thing is, how is the support if you need to reach out to the company to get warranty? Because even the longest warranty, such as on the VSJ843, which is 15 years, which tops all these guys, is not a good warranty if you can't get a hold of the company to handle the warranty. You know, as a retailer, you know, my hands are off as to how the manufacturer takes care of you. You know, that being said, if you do purchase your juicer from Discount Juicers, I'm here to stand with you to ensure you get warranty support, you know, if the manufacturer is not responding to you and or not working with your legitimate approved warranty claim. You know, of course, if you put in anything other than fruits or vegetables, if you put a knife or a spoon or a fork in here, you know, you drop a cherry pit in there, or, you know, a peach pit or something, and it cracks your machine, you know, that's not covered under warranty, and I can't help you with those issues. But if the machine broke due to no fault of your own, I could definitely help you get service. And, you know, here's the thing, I mean, to be honest with you guys right now, I mean, some companies may not like what I say, but I always tell my truth. My truth may be different than, you know, other people's experiences, but I just try to share what I know. And here's the thing, what I know. If you call Omega's 800 number, because I did it yesterday, you know, it'll say due to COVID, they're not answering the phone, so you got to email them, right? Now, I don't email their standard email address for warranty support, and I haven't tried that. But what I've heard from my customers, so this is hearsay, I'm not saying it's true or not. I hear from some of my customers that they've talked to Omega or emailed their email address, and they haven't gotten a response, and it's been 2, 3, 4 weeks, even a month in some cases. So on the other side, I hear from Omega that they're backlogged, they're short-staffed due to COVID and staffing reductions and all this stuff, and they're having a hard time keeping up. I don't know what's true, I don't know what's not true, but I can tell you guys this. If one of my customers contacted me and said, John, I can't get Omega to reply to me, you let me know your 6-digit order number and what exactly is happening, including any pictures or picture of the part that's damaged, and I will work with Omega to escalate your support claim to make sure you get helped. And when I've done this for people that have just simply needed parts replacements, that generally happens rather quickly, if they have the part replacement in stock. Now, if you have a more complicated issue, like with the motor not running or this or that, then I've forwarded those to Omega, and I know they're getting at least a higher priority support than people just emailing off the street. But, I can't tell you with 100% confidence that all my customers that have had some motor issues are being taken care of, because I don't get entire feedback loop on that from the customers or from Omega once I send off their request for support. I would like to think that my customers are being helped, but I don't exactly know, and that's the honest truth. So here's the thing. I know some of you guys are really perturbed by companies with bad customer service, and if this is you, then my honest opinion, although the machine works wonderfully and beautifully and it's a great machine, the company, they're not as good as they used to. I could definitely positively tell you guys that. And then, in this case, you might want to steer clear and buy one of the other juicers, not only because of the issues with the stock outage, and is this going to tell what's going to come in the future with Omega? Continual stock outages, continual customer service issues. We are in COVID times, and this is a pandemic, and there's been, now we have the new normal. Maybe this is the new normal for Omega. I don't really know. I definitely hope it gets better. I've been working with Omega now for over 20 years, and they're one of my favorite companies, or have been in the past, but then they got bought out by a conglomerate, which is a whole bunch of other stuff happening, and I'm not going to disclose all that stuff. So that's my honest opinion. So here's the thing. Tribest, full 10-year warranty. And actually, I reached out to Tribest, I think on the 11th. I called them up, and their 888 number, their toll-free number, was not working. So I contacted the vice president. Hey, vice president, your 888 number is not working. He's like, oh, we're having problems with our toll-free number, so we're only telling people to call the 714 number, which is their, local number. So then I called that number. I left a message that day, and I have a call log actually right here, from all the calls I made. And actually it shows I called the 714 number on 8/10 at 2:44 p.m., okay? And here's the thing. On 8/10, I called Tribest for a service on my Green Star Pro juicer. Actually, I guess we had a bad switch in there. The motor stopped running, and they replaced it and sent it back to me. And on 8/11, which is the following day, they returned my phone call and said, hey, John, we heard you got a problem. And then I emailed the rep back, because that's normally how I communicate them with them. But I want to pose as a customer and see how their level of service is. I don't say, oh, I'm John Kohler from Discount Juicer. I just say, oh, I'm John and having an issue with my juicer. Then I give my number. And when they call back the number, of course, they hear it's me, because it's my business phone number. It answers Discount Juicers. And basically, because I think that was on a Tuesday, they called me back on Wednesday. And by Friday, I had the juicer shipped out to them with a complete RMA number. The following week, they wrote me back, said, John, we looked at your juicer and it has a bad switch. They fixed it, and then they sent it back to me. So it should be waiting for me, but I haven't checked my mail yet at the office there that receives all the mail. So, I could confidently say that Tribest has good customer service. They called me back within a day, even during these COVID times, which there are restrictions with jobs and work and working remotely. So I was extremely impressed with that. Now, what's my experience with Nama? So Nama, I will tell you guys, I did have a warranty issue with this very juicer. Now, it's not a big warranty issue, but it bothered me. And because it bothered me and it's not exactly right, I called them up for warranty support, because one of the things, I've been in close contact with some of the owner of the company, and he's like, John, you know, even beyond selling juicers, we're a customer service oriented company, and I've heard a lot of lip service on that. And I'm just saying, you know, I'm sharing my opinions and what I've heard. And like, I'm like, okay, this is good because Omega has poor customer service. Maybe the benefit of Nama, despite the 2-year short warranty, is that it has good customer service. So what happened to my juicer here is, I don't know how this happened, but on the bottom of this juicer, you know, it's developing a crack at the base. Not on the feed chute, but below where the feed chute meets, because this is 2 pieces of plastic that are welded. This is kind of clear and this is dark, just black. It's generating a crack. And when I looked at that at some point, it was almost like large enough to like accept food particles in there. And I'm like, you know what? That crack is not right. I'm going to call Nama for warranty support, pose as a customer, and see what happens, okay? And honest, this is honest. I'm not trying to like make up stuff or make Nama sound bad. But my experience is that, once again, on my call log, I've highlighted here that I did an outbound call to their phone number 833-253-6262 at 8/10 at 2:49 p.m. The call lasted for 185 seconds for me to get through their menus and leave a message. When I called Tribest, my call took 234 seconds to basically get through their menus and their automated system and leave a message, right, and tell my problems. So actually their phone system was a bit more efficient than Tribest, but that's great if they have a good phone system to leave a message. The challenge is, here it is, you know, 2 weeks later, I have not gotten a call back from Nama. And I haven't told anything to the higher ups at Nama, like, hey, I had an issue with my juicer. Because here's the thing, I'm posing as a customer. I want to know your exact experience if you have to call Nama or what happens. Now, I didn't email them. Maybe if you emailed them, you'd get faster service. And if you do have a warranty claim with any of the companies, I do encourage you guys not only to call, but also to email, because sometimes some companies are more efficient with email than calling. But I know a lot of you old timers prefer to use a phone and get service immediately. But in this new age, you know, a lot of companies do not answer the phones directly, and you're forced to leave a message because they just don't have the staff due to COVID issues, okay? So be aware of that. So yeah, best is email and phone support. And if I did that, if I know I emailed the owner of the company or some of the people that I talked to at Nama and I told them I had the issue, they would probably just send me the part straight away. But I didn't. I called them, you know. So now I'm in this situation. And of course, when this video comes out, they'll first learn about this because I haven't mentioned it otherwise. But, you know, here's the thing. Like, you know, why do I do all these things? Why do I test the companies? Because I'm a customer just like you guys, right? I just don't sell juicers. I can sell any widgets if I wanted to, but I have no desire to sell stupid widgets that you're wasting your money on. But to me, you know, I juice every day. I mean, I got a juice that I'm drinking right now. It's my root juice. You know, like yesterday or 2 days ago, I juiced 1.5 gallons of juice. Every other day or every day, sometimes I juice over 1 gallon on a regular basis so that I have it stored in my fridge. I have videos, post links down below on how I store my juices for up to 5 days. But that being said, I juice a lot. On an average day, I drink maybe about close to 70 ounces of juice generally, and sometimes even more. I'll drink 2 32 ounces that may not be filled to the brim, as well as a 4 ounce or so shot of turmeric ginger lemon juice, usually with rosemary if I remember to add it. You know, so I'm a consumer just like you guys because I use the juicers, and every day I have the option of, John, what juicer will you juice today to make your, you know, your root juice, or to make your celery, cucumber, lettuce, water spinach, green juice? And I choose one of these guys, and because I've been home during COVID a lot, you know, I mostly would go for the VSJ843 because I know it's just tried and true, it works well, least hassle, easiest to clean. I don't have to deal with it, but then sometimes I've used the Nama and the Kuvings, although I haven't pulled out the Slowstar to do the recipe, you know, just quite yet. So maybe that'll be upcoming soon. And they all pretty much work the same with a few minor discrepancies. All right. So yeah. So like, you know, I come as a customer, and you know, here's the thing. I want the best juicer for me, and of course, I have my own opinions. And your needs may be different than my needs, and of course you may see things a bit differently than I do, and that's completely all right. You know, I mean, we might see the same girl, and you think, oh man, she's ugly as butt, and I might think, oh man, she's the most beautiful girl in the world. And you know, once again, the point is moot. You just got to find the right juice that's going to meet your needs, despite what I say. Although I like the least amount of hassle, and I like to get warranty support as needed. Okay. Moving on to Kuvings. So on the Kuvings, I haven't had any, well, for Kuvings, I email them when I have an issue, and they've always responded and taken care of me immediately. I haven't tried to call their number recently. I think I called them maybe 6 months ago, and I think I got a reply back through email. But I said, I told them who I was and stuff. So it wasn't exactly a fair comparison. But that being said, I do get feedback all the time from my customers that either try to reach out to Kuvings, were successful, or usually they only contact me when they're unsuccessful, and then I escalate their matter, and then the matter is resolved. Basically, I don't have to, hear about it again. So if I had to rate the customer service of each of the companies, if you have a juicer that breaks, I would say Tribest is number 1 in customer service terms because I had direct experience with them. Second, I would say Kuvings because I've always heard that they take care of my customers once you do notify them. Third, I'd have to say Namawell because they still haven't gotten a hold of me yet, but I'm sure after this video comes out, they'll get a hold of me real quick. And then finally, I'd say Omega just because they're not even answering their phones, and a lot of the customers that have emailed me for support explaining their situations that they're not getting, a response from Omega. So that's just how it goes. And so, based on this information, are you going to change what you're going to buy now because of this? I know some of you guys, it might change your opinions, and for some of you guys, it might not. But that's all right. Stay tuned because there's a lot more of this episode. So I think the next thing I want to get into is feed chute size and show you guys that, because this will determine how much you need to do pre-cutting of your produce when juicing, right? And here's the thing, I'll be honest with you guys, one of my pet peeves in the whole world is a small feed chute, and this is why I rank Namawell as the lowest. Although it has this side feed chute that's kind of larger, it's really kind of difficult and a pain to use. I mean, before I clean this juicer up for juicing, because I just juice and I don't clean it after every use, I had lots of remnant particles and particulate on top of the juicer because I literally missed the hole. Because the funnel here on the top is so small, it also takes a lot more time to put items in the juicer. So let's go ahead and just hold these up for you guys. So this is the feed chute on the VSJ843. Here's the feed chute on the Slowstar, which are approximately the same size. And we're going to go ahead and now hold up the Namawell so you guys can see that. The Namawell is significantly smaller, as you guys can see, although the Namawell does have that side chute opening, which may be helpful for things like cherry tomatoes or things cut small. But at the same time, the other thing I'm looking for is a nice funnel. I really like funnels. I'm not a fan of juicers without funnels or minimal funnels. I mean, this top set may look pretty nice, but it's actually a really shallow funnel, so things usually overfall. I really like the VSJ843 funnel. It's nice and round, easy, has a nice tall lip on it. Actually, it has the best funnel on all the juicers. The Slowstar, somewhere in between the VSJ and the Namawell. Now, of course, on the Kuvings, originally the Kuvings, they did not have a funnel, which is like this, and it's still good because it has a 3-inch wide feed chute, but sometimes things go outside the feed chute. So I'm glad, probably due to my encouragement and maybe hopefully other customer feedback, they created a funnel for it that you could put on. And this is actually the largest funnel, technically, because this funnel will fit inside this funnel, so that's really nice. This funnel is also more shallow, probably about the same shallowness as the Namawell and the Slowstar. But look at this feed chute compared to the VSJ843, right? This is at least twice as big, as the VSJ843 feed chute. So let's talk about feed chutes for a second. John, is bigger better? I mean, people might think, oh man, SUVs are the best because they're like, you could hold more stuff in them. But if you look at SUVs in terms of gas mileage, they kind of suck. So, that's the thing. That's how juicers are, So between big feed chutes and small feed chutes, what do I prefer? Well, the feed chute size is really not that consequential to me. In some instances, like when I'm juicing watermelon, I'm always going to pretty much pick the Kuvings if I have a choice, because watermelon's not too hard to juice, and then I don't have to cut the watermelon into super tiny, small pieces, okay? And that's where the Kuvings comes into benefit. Now, here's the thing that some of the companies don't tell you that make the large feed chutes. Although it does have a large feed chute, doesn't mean you could put anything haphazardly in there as fast as you can and cram stuff down that large feed chute, much like you could with a high-speed juicer that you may be familiar with, right? This is still a slow juicer, and although it has a large feed chute and you don't have to pre-cut certain items, right, you need to take your time when juicing, because otherwise the large feed chute can be a detriment because it'll encourage you to feed things too fast through a slow juicer, which then will result in a really non-desirable outcome, meaning the juicer's clogging, jamming, backing up, and not working correctly, and you're not happy, and I want you guys to be happy. Another thing that is unsaid is that although these feed chutes are of different sizes, certain produce items do need to be pre-cut, in my personal opinion. Things like celery and leafy greens such as kale, collard greens, Swiss chard, even things like dandelion, stringy fibrous vegetables should be pre-cut into, I recommend, 1/8 inch pieces or minimum 1/4 inch pieces for best results. I'll post a video down below that before you buy any of these vertical juicers, I want you guys to watch. It's called Juice Like a Pro in Any Vertical Slow Juicer. There are certain techniques that you should use to get the best results from using any of these machines that the manufacturers simply do not tell you. Many manufacturers may tell you to pre-cut things. Nama's kind of been on the forefront of the reason why our juicers is the best is because you don't have to pre-cut stuff. And that is their party line, what they tell people. And while I have juiced things in this not pre-cut like celery, although I haven't juiced too many other things in this unpre-cut, I could also tell you that this machine still will jam even though they advertise it as you don't need to pre-cut. I find that if you don't pre-cut, the juicer may heat up a little bit more because the outlet passage is being blocked, although it may not get as blocked as some of the other juicers, and you may have issues taking the juicer apart when you're completely done juicing because of the backed up pulp, although maybe this one will back up less than others because of some of the interior modifications and design changes that this machine has that the other ones don't. That being said, things like apples, that's where I really think the Kuvings shines with fruits, because you could put whole chunks of fruits, unless it's a pineapple core, in here without issue. Big pieces of watermelon and the other juicers will need to be pre-cut. Things like carrots basically get just dropped down into the juicers. In the Nama, the issue I've had is with large diameter carrots, you got to cut them again, whereas on the VSJ or the Slowstar, I don't have that issue. Same thing with cucumbers, nice fat cucumbers, I can slice in half, it'll easily fit in the Slowstar or the VSJ. I could put the cucumber whole without pre-cutting in the Kuvings, but in the Nama, I have to cut it lengthwise into quarters, which is a pain in the butt, and basically, because now instead of feeding 2 pieces, you have to feed 4 pieces, that doubles your time juicing, and with the Kuvings, you can just put the whole thing in there. So it's like half the time when feeding produce into the machine. So that could be a factor for you guys. Do you guys have more time or less time, and are you willing to sacrifice some of the other features, for the time savings because of the feed chute? Now, another thing nobody's really going to talk about except me, because I've noticed this on a personal level, is as the produce goes into the machine, does it go in or get stuck up? At the bottom of the feed chute. This is very critical. This is one of my pet peeves, and this is where the Nama also falls short, right? Because even though this feed chute in the top is small, it opens up to pretty big at the bottom, but that's great, it's big at the bottom. The issue is this auger here, as it's spinning around, this is a very narrow, small auger. The span of this auger is really short, so it has a short little bite, which is basically the center line between the auger and the end of the blade there. And I've noticed that it gets all jammed up a lot more in the bottom of the feed chute, and the produce, if it's sitting improperly, like cockeyed, it doesn't go into the juicer, and then it forces me to use their pusher to push stuff into the juicer, which then adds time to me juicing. Whereas on the VSJ843, while the opening on the bottom of the feed chute may not be as big as the Nama, what is larger is the wingspan on the auger. So let's go ahead and just compare these guys side by side. So can you guys see that? I have them side by side, and the auger span, this takes a lot more larger bites, so things tend to drop in a little bit easier, because for me, I actually recommend you guys don't use the pusher when juicing in a vertical juicer, because the machine should be self-feeding. With the Nama, the Kuvings also, you gotta have to maybe use the pusher a little more, but the Nama, I found you have to use it the most, okay? And then on the Slowstar, this machine also has a fairly narrow style auger, but because of the way this blade is shaped, and because the bottom of this is a pretty good opening, things tend to drop in this juicer a little bit better, than the Nama, but pretty much not much. Now with the Kuvings, basically because you have such a wide feed chute and then the auger doesn't have the same kind of wingtips on it, things fall into this, so things fall on this much easier. And this auger is also, you know, we can't really do apples to apples comparison because it's a different style auger. It works a little bit differently. I can say on the Kuvings, always when you're done juicing, there always will be more leftover excess pulp in the top of the juicer and in the chamber housing than the other styles, just because that's one of the negatives of this being a large feed chute. All right, so you just have to be willing to accept, you know, the machine's shortfalls. No, I think I also forgot to mention that the Kuvings comes with a sorbet screen that allows you to make sorbet, and also has an optional smoothie screen that you can purchase separately, although I do recommend using a vacuum blender for making smoothies instead of the juicer. Okay. Oh, and I also forgot to say that the VSJ843 actually has a coarse screen that is an additional purchase should you want to purchase one, although it may be hard to find. Okay, so let's see, and I have videos for the most part comparing all these juicers against each other except the Nama, because I'm just starting to sell Nama just now. This is my first official comparison juicer with the Nama in it, and I will soon have more where I compare the Nama to the VSJ specifically in detail and get into detail between the other different style juicers. Okay. The next thing I want to cover is the cleaning. How long does each juicer take me to clean? Now I talk fast and I also clean very fast. I like things to be efficient and very you know, easy for me to clean, because here's the thing. I'll be the first to tell you I'm not a big fan of cleaning. I mean, some of you guys might not care about cleaning, and John, if I get more yield, I'll clean longer. But you know, for me that's not for me that's not necessarily the case. I'll forego a little bit of yield for easier cleaning time. So in terms of cleaning, I'll say the VSJ is probably the easiest to clean. It takes me about 3 minutes. And pretty much, I'd probably say the Nama is probably the second easiest to clean. And then I'd probably say, I don't know, these two are probably tied for the third. Now the main reason why the VSJ is easier to clean than the others are because I find that the pulp is not as impacted or ground into the screen when you're done. You know, so this has the least impaction. Nama has a little bit more than the VSJ, and then these two guys get a lot more screen impaction of the pulp, which means more scrubbing, which means more time. Plus, there are also more nooks and crannies in all these different juicers. You know, and here's one of the nooks and crannies that I'm not particularly a fan about, and this is why I like the VSJ so much. The wiping blade on the VSJ843 is turned by the wings on top of the auger. It turns at 43 RPMs, which is basically the same speed as the auger is turning. Now, they say this may increase a little bit of foam in the juice, but to me, that's inconsequential. I haven't seen massive differences in foam in the juice because of the 43 RPM spinner. Now, on the Slowstar, the machine, the wiping blade is driven by these gears that are turned by the motor down below it, right? And so this probably runs a little bit slower, potentially, and I don't exactly know the RPM that the spinner spins at to wipe down the screen. In the Nama, also, we have all these little gears on the bottom of the wiping blade, and it is these very gears that I'm not personally a big fan of cleaning, because, you know, here's the thing, man, when you're juicing things like celery or things that are high mineral content, you know, this will get stained with all these different mineral deposits. And now you have to brush carefully between each tooth to get the mineral deposits off with soap and water after juicing each and every time, or you will get buildup. And because the VSJ doesn't have the little teeth on the bottom, this makes it, you know, easier to clean and easier to take care of in the long run for me. Also, the Kuvings, you know, same deal. The Kuvings also has gears on the bottom, and all these three machines, the Slowstar, Nama, and Kuvings, have this little gear, you know, that basically turns. The Kuvings is actually engineered to work as the machine turns. It turns the little gear. Because of the gears, actually, it may be turning at a different ratio. I'm not exactly sure because this spins the same ratio, and then you have this smaller gear, and I'm not the super engineer to know the ratio on that, so they're probably spinning it slower. And I do know for a fact that the Nama runs at 43 RPMs, which is the same as the VSJ843, but their wiping blade runs at, like, I think 17 RPM, so it's significantly slowed down. But once again, this one also has, you know, the gear in there. And now the thing about the NAMA is that there are 2 attachment points. So next, because I have all these machines apart, I want to explain more about how the augers work. So the auger on the VSJ843, you put the produce in, it's basically chunked off with these 2 wings. It then gets moved down the auger to get crushed and squeezed. That's why I consider this a cold press juicer, because it's literally crushing, grinding, and pressing out the juice between the force between the screen and the auger right here. Now this does have a bottom of the auger that's actually removed, so this is a good thing. This is basically acts as strain relief. This is part of the design, and when you're done juicing, there will pretty much always be some pulp underneath the auger. This is completely normal, so do not be alarmed. Now the way this is mounted in the machine is that there is a gasket here that basically keeps juice from overflowing on the top of your motor base. You know, if you are storing juice in the chamber or if things start to back up, right? Generally these seals are pretty bulletproof because they did have issues originally when the machine came out, but now they're pretty solid. And this this auger basically attaches directly to the motor down below. In the Slowstar juicer, pretty much the same situation. You have the bowl with the gasket there, and then the bottom of this auger, once again, also hollow and will collect pulp underneath there. Now on the NAMA, it's a little bit different. You know, they have the motor you know, shaft coming up from the motor base, and then on this piece, they actually have another piece with another kind of like you know, bearing in there that's running the same exact speed as the motor. So now instead of that, instead of having a gasket in here, which, you know, on some instances the gasket does wear out and can break, and on the VSJ I did have a situation or several situations where customers had their gasket kind of just be defective and it wasn't holding the liquid inside the machine. With the NAMA, you don't have that issue because they have a different system with basically the auger being totally open on the bottom. So actually this auger is easier to clean than the others because it's more open on the bottom. But they also have a mounting point right here, a spline that basically goes in for the gear, for the auger here to turn. Now the main issue I've had with this is that if you're juicing a lot and your juicer gets warm, right? Metal expands when it's warm and contracts when it's cool. I mean, you guys that are welders and all this kind of stuff know these kinds of things. But basically as a layman, you know, here's the thing. If I juice a lot, sometimes my whole auger set will get stuck on the machine because it's basically, it's heated up. So it needs to cool down to contract, and then I could take it apart. Sometimes if you juice a lot, it's really warm. On the VSJ, it's stuck. I could just grab these two and pull the whole thing up and it comes up. But on the NAMA, you know, I've gotten this stuck before and it's been fairly difficult because now you got to get the auger off that's kind of stuck on because of the heat, and now you got this bowl to also get stuck off. So there's like 2 parts that can now stick on you, although this is not going to leak. Although this does have an extra bearing that may go bad, although there's not a lot of force or stress put on this bearing. So that's a good thing. So I mean, it's a little bit different design. You know, I'm not a big fan of this design as much because it tends to collect a lot more, you know, dirt, just the way this, or like pulp in there, and a bit harder to clean due to the passageways, and that's why I just love the VSJ so much. It's just a lot more streamlined when cleaning than having the gear and this raised up thing that now I can't get the brush down in there to clean properly, and I don't have this with any of the other juicers. So, you know, once again, that is a pro and a con, and the main reason they did this is, number one, to have a slower speed on the wiping blade, and also maybe to make it a little more durable on some levels and actually reduce the leakage issues that some vertical slow juicers can have. Kuvings went a different route actually. They don't actually have any kind of gasket inside the bowl, so this bowl is going to be the easiest for you guys to clean when you're done juicing, and I do like that a lot. What they've done instead is that they actually put the nice gasket in the bottom of the juicing screen. So actually I think this is quite intelligent because now all the pulp is going to be left in the juicing screen, so it's going to be a lot easier to clean and rinse out. They also include a special cleaning brush that's going to make your screen cleaning a lot easier. And of course underneath this auger is also hollowed out underneath, and this just connects directly to the motor. So because they have this new design, I've rarely ever seen any kind of leakage on top of the Kuvings, although I still have seen leakage on the VSJ and the Slowstar, you know, should your little bushing wear out. That being said, the bushing, if it wears out due to no fault of your own, it should be covered under warranty. All right. So yeah, that's basically the cleaning, how these work, and some of the little tidbits about them. I guess the next thing I did discuss a bit previously, but I want to get into it again, is multi-features, multi-function use. So once again, this machine, all these machines could basically juice and make nut milk basically as they sit with a standard juicing screen. The VSJ not designed to do anything else, although an approved use is sorbet and nut butters. The Slowstar comes with a mincing attachment that gives you the widest range of abilities to process food in other ways than the other style machines. The Nama has the Sorbet Screen, so you can make sorbets and nut butters. Also includes a coarse screen that actually is the same juicing screen, but it has larger holes. If you want to put more juice in the pulp, of course, the VSJ has that coarse screen available as an optional accessory if you want to purchase that. They can be a little bit expensive, and I generally don't. I've owned the coarse screen for a long time. I don't even use it. All right. Just sits in the box basically. And then the Kuvings, this machine includes the juicing and the nut milks, and also it includes a sorbet screen that you can make sorbet with, but nut butters is not an approved use. And you also have that optional smoothie strainer that you could get if you choose to. All right. And so I mean, I think that's pretty much. Oh, and then I do want to say that all vertical juicers are pretty much good all-around juicers. And they're good at juicing most things fairly well. You know, in general, vertical juicers, in terms of slow juicers, are the best for juicing fruits. You know, and when you're going to juice fruits in any juicer, I do recommend hard and firm fruits. They generally juice a lot better in the slow juicers. If you're juicing apples and it's making more of a sauce than a juice, that's because your apples are probably soft, especially this time of year before the fall season comes into play and we get fresh apples from the U.S. because most apples are stored literally a half a year or even a full year in cold storage with an oxygen deprived environment, you know, to kind of keep them good. But when they get soft, they don't juice as well. So for that reason, you should choose Granny Smith apples. Leafy Greens, you know, this is not my primary juicer. If I was juicing high percentage of leafy greens, say over 60% leafy greens, these machines can have issues because all these machines, they got the pulp has to come down and make a right angle turn as it's coming out, and that right angle turn can be problematic and jam up. That being said, Nama advertises as no pre-cutting necessary, you know, although I'm not there in the customer service to know, but all I know is that if you don't pre-cut, the juicer can have more issues. Although you may be able to get away with it, you know, I want you guys to be prepared, and I always teach what's going to work the best so that, you know, you're just going to be off and running and do everything proper and not going to have to, like, ask me for support, ask me why your juicer jammed, because I'm just going to tell you my personal opinions in the first case. Now, the other issue that I want to get into, especially with the Nama, that I'll probably get into this more, is that on some of their marketing materials, they say the Nama makes 30% more juice, you know, with an asterisk once again, than other juicers, you know, in general juicing, and on greens up to 70% more. Now, so I think that statement, while can be true, depending on what juicer you're comparing it to, it can also be false. So, you know, and I think that's a bit, maybe on some level, deceptive advertising. That's my personal opinion, personally, because most people don't read the asterisk, but it's much like the 10-year warranty. That is a little asterisk, and people think it's a 10-year warranty, but if you read the asterisk, it's only 2 years, right? So, you know, when they're comparing those numbers, in my opinion, and based on what I've seen, they're comparing it to a Breville high-speed juicer, you know, which on certain items does yield less juice. So on leafy greens, that will yield 70% less, depending on the situation. You know, in many cases, you know, the Nama may get more yield than a high-speed machine, but in some cases, a high-speed machine will still get more yield than a Nama. For example, juicing carrots. Carrots are not the ideal produce item to juice in a auger-style juicer. You know, for the most yield, a high-speed juicer is really pretty efficient, depending on the high-speed juicer, at juicing carrots. But the nutrition quality is being lost because of the excess oxidation. And so that's why I like to use, like, you know, a twin-gear juicer to get the highest nutrition and highest quality juice. Although if you want the most yield, you want to get a pure juicer that's like $2,300, and that'll get the pulp basically sawdust dry, all right? But all these juices will produce pretty much the same yield, so don't just think, oh, they're saying it produces 30% more. People don't read the fine print. They're just going to think, oh, it makes 30% more than the VSJ, the Slowstar, and the Kuvings. And that's not true. I mean, all these will probably produce within a pretty close range of, I'd say as close as 10%, but it may be different. You know, we'll see, because I've never compared all these guys side by side in one video at the same time, because I've juiced, you know, the same recipe in the juicers on different times, so I could kind of got an idea. But I don't know exactly what's going to happen for sure. So I want you guys to be aware of that fact. And just because they say that it's 30% more, don't just think it's 30% more across the board with every single juicer. You know, and I also encourage you guys always to read the fine print. You know, but most people just want the quick answer, and that's why the people that want the quick answer are not watching this video anymore. So I'm glad you guys are staying. So anyways, what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and get these juicers assembled, and we're going to juice equal amount of carrots in all these machines to show you guys the results and show you guys how much each juicer yields. Alright, so as you guys can see, I basically have carrots all pre-weighed out. I have 654 grams in each separate pitcher. I'm not going to weigh in today. You guys have to trust me. You know, I'm just here to share with you guys the truth. I'm not trying to, like, you know, make that one heavier. They're all exactly the same to save time for this video that's already gotten a little bit long. I'm not going to do a weigh-in like I normally do, but when I do future comparisons between two different models, you know, I will do weigh-ins as I normally do to show you guys the weights. But I just kind of got to get done with this juicer because I'll have to be cleaning 4 juicers after this video, alright? So first we're going to juice in the VSJ843. The process will be simple. Turn the machine on, take 1 carrot at a time, drop it in the machine. I'm just going to keep it running, the camera running the whole time. I'm not going to speed this up because I want to show you guys actually what happens. You know, I don't like using a pusher and don't want to use a pusher, and so hopefully that'll work with all the machines today, and we'll show you guys actually what happens when juicing, alright? So first up, VSJ843, turn it on, drop the carrot in, one at a time. You know, you're going to let it run and juice until it's done grating, and then you're going to drop the next one in. You don't want to just put one in and put the next one in as fast as you can, because that you know, may put too much load on the juicer. So you know what I'm going to tell you guys is this. The reason why I personally like the VSJ843 is because it's a fairly durable product. It's been out for many years now. It's time proven. You know, in my opinion, based on my experience, it puts less pulp in the juice, which I'm not a big fan of personally. It also just works just well, and it's easiest to clean, you know. Luckily, I haven't had too many issues with my VSJ843, so I don't generally have to contact Omega. But if you do, that's where, you know, it may get a little bit sketchy for you. I think the feed, I really like the funnel on it, and the feed chute size is just like, you know, just the right size. I like how it just takes all the produce and just sucks it right in the machine without you having even to use the pusher. You know, once again, saving me 1 part to clean. You know, I don't have to clean a pusher every single time, you know, with the VSJ. So I always try to optimize what I'm doing because I'm already juicing so much. Every second for me counts because I got plenty of other things to do in my life besides sit here and babysit my juicer or use the pusher or whatnot. Once again, these are just full carrots that I bought organic yesterday actually. No pre-cutting necessary when you do buy carrots. I would encourage you guys to get smaller diameter carrots. They're not going to tend to jam up or stop the juicer, you know, as much as the fatter diameter carrots. And the last piece of carrot going in the VSJ843. Now the most important thing when using any juicer is once you put that last piece of produce in, you want to let the machine run a little bit more, you know, to get the juice out before you shut it off, you know. The way you'll know is that if the pulp stops moving out of the machine and the juice stops dripping out the machine, you're pretty much good. For me, it looks like the pulp is still moving very slowly and the juice is coming out. Now I do want you guys to be aware of the rocking motion. All slow juicers, auger juicers, will have this rocking motion. If you look very closely, this housing is just moving ever so slightly as it's working, and this is completely normal, so don't be alarmed if this occurs to you. It looks like we're pretty much done. It's just dripping out at this point. One of the tricks you might want to try is you can turn it off, hit the reverse a little bit, let it run for maybe, I don't know, 15 seconds, and then hit the forward again. Sometimes that'll, you know, eject a little more juice. Other things, I like to tip up the juicer just a little bit. Maybe you'll get a few more drips, but I think for all practical purposes, that's all the juice we made out of the VSJ843. Next up, let's go ahead and juice in the Slowstar. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and juice in the Slowstar juicer. Let's turn this machine on. I do not recommend or encourage you guys to run the machine empty for any particular amount of time. You know, oh, I'm running it, John, it makes a funny noise when I'm running it empty. That's because the produce actually acts as lubrication, you know, for when you're juicing. So you should only run the juicer if it's empty right when you turn it on before you put the produce in, or once you put that last piece of produce in, let it run just long enough, you know, to get all the juice out. Some of the things I like about the Slowstar juicer is, number one, the high spout. This also tends to maybe get a little more splash, and because the spout is so high, it allows you to put a larger container underneath to catch all the juice coming out, like a mason jar will work. Of course, you get the supplied plastic pitchers that come with the juicer as well. I also like the torque. The torque on the Slowstar is probably some of the highest torque of all these machines. It's quite durable. It just basically powers through a lot of stuff. Now, this machine will put a bit more pulp in the juice than other style juicers. I think the Slowstar and the Kuvings probably puts the most pulp between the juicers that I'm showing you guys today. But that being said, you know, this machine also includes a sieve to take out the excess pulp should you not want it in there. The VSJ843 does not include a sieve, neither does the Nama, but the Kuvings does. So the machines that do put more pulp in the juice also provide you a sieve. Now, I also like that the Slowstar juicer has that multi-purpose use attachment, that mincing attachment that basically has no screen in there. It's just the mincing cone with the auger, so that's actually easier to clean than some of the other you know, nut butter or sorbet options, although the mincing attachment on this does not grind to a fine as consistency as, say, the sorbet attachment would on either of these two machines. This may be problematic with making nut butter because you'll get more of a crunchy style nut that's not ground down quite as much, but this can be a benefit when using the mincing feature. To say you're mincing up cabbage to make a sauerkraut, that's where this machine shines, and these other machines not really going to do that function at all, actually. So alright, here's the last carrot going in on the Slowstar. This machine did not stop once, it did not get jammed, it worked perfectly, juicing all these carrots in my collection cup that I'm basically using. The same collection cup between all these juicers is actually getting quite full. I'm not comparing you know, the dryness of the pulp this time. Once again, we're going to go ahead and let this machine run just a little bit more until all the pulp stops flowing and the juice stops coming out. Alright, I think that's all the juice that's coming out of the Slowstar there. Let's go ahead and put the spout cap. Well, we'll leave the spout cap up, let it drip anymore. And I also tip this machine up a little bit just to get any kind of more dribbles out. Next, let's go ahead and juice in the Nama to see how it does. Alright, let's go ahead and juice in the Nama, turn this baby on, and we're just going to drop each carrot into the feed chute. Hopefully they all fit due to the smaller feed chute. Once again, you know, that's what I really don't like about the Nama is the small feed chute there. Alright, so as you guys can see, we're dropping in the carrots, and what I like most about the Nama is actually the motor itself is a pretty durable motor. I mean, this motor will not fail probably within 10 years because it's quite stout and durable. They've increased the torque on this motor compared to other juicers made in the same factory as far as I'm aware, although I have no way to verify that. That's just what I'm being told. And so that's why it just works really good. What I don't like about the Nama is a short 2-year warranty. That's what I really like the least, because I mean, if you're spending this much money on a juicer, you know, it should have a longer warranty than 2 years. Once again, you could also get the top, you know, body vibration or kind of like gyration a little bit, you know, with this machine as you can with any of these slow juicers. I haven't used the coarse screen on the Nama yet, and I haven't even used the Sorbet Screen on it either. Because actually I use a different juicer for making sorbet that even turns out better. I use the pure juicer for that task, although on my list to do is I want to make a video showing how each different slow juicer type makes sorbet so you guys can realize the differences, because once again, you know, juicing is one function your juicer can do, and you know, other functions are done a little bit differently. And I know for some of you guys really want the multi-function capabilities. And you know, that's why you probably wouldn't want to get the VSJ, because it basically locks you into making juicing and nut milk for the most part. And all these machines allow you to do more than just juice, such as make, you know, sorbets and smoothies, or make sorbets, nut butters, also, you know, more pulp in the juice. And this one, you just have all the different options because of the mincing attachment. All right, so this is going pretty well. My catch cup here is getting pretty full of pulp here, and we're almost done juicing all our carrots. This machine's fed fine, just these individual carrots fed one at a time. The issue you're going to find is if you start feeding things too quickly, things get cockeyed in this machine, then it doesn't go down the best. And actually, that's another thing I don't like about this machine. Things tend to get stuck up in the top of this feed chute. That doesn't happen to me on the VSJ or the Slowstar in general. Alright, so we're just going to go ahead and give this juicer some time to basically extract all the juice out. Alright, so I think this is done pretty much extracting all the juice. We're going to go ahead and once again turn it off, reverse it a little bit, see if we get any more juice out. Turn it on forward, we're going to tip that up a little bit, kind of see if we get any juice tipped out, and then we're going to turn it off. Alright, so up last is the Kuvings Whole Slow Juicer Elite, model C7000. Alright, let's juice in the Kuvings, turn this baby on once again, one carrot at a time. Despite the big feed chute, I'm not going to take 5 carrots. You know, I could probably fit almost all these carrots in one shot if I just took them all and dumped them. But that would not be good because you would be overloading the juicer, overloading the feed chute. As you guys can see, it's taking each you know, produce item in, taking it, grinding it up, and sending it on down through the auger to get the juice out. Oh man, I had the spout cap closed. So that's another thing. I always encourage you guys to keep the spout cap open when you're juicing. It might look really cool to have the spout cap closed when you're juicing and collect all your juice in the little, you know, drum here, but I personally don't believe that to be a good idea because basically think about it, you know, the juicer's trying to expel the juice, you know, but it can't go out because it's stopped and the pulp is being expelled. So when you're basically have the juice in the housing spinning around, it might look cool, might mix it up pretty good, but the problem is the juice, the pulp is being ejected, in my personal opinion, based on my testing, is going to be a little bit more wet because now the pulp is sitting in with the juice. So I strive to always have the spout cap open, although other manufacturers don't necessarily follow my sentiment. I like to only use the spout cap when you're done juicing to close it to prevent drips on your countertop. In some cases, like in the Kuvings, when you are making you know, smoothies, it is required you use the spout cap to successfully make a smoothie. What I really like about the Kuvings is the wide 3-inch feed chute. I mean, that can make a significant difference depending on what you're juicing. So if you're juicing fruits, and you know, and by fruits I say sweet fruits like apples or even oranges, or you know, watermelon or cantaloupe, I like this machine because you don't have to cut things as small. Oh, my thing is overflowing. I should have got another pitcher here, but I was too lazy. So I guess we'll just let it overflow a little bit. So like a large feed chute, and on some items you don't need to pre-cut. Of course, on celery and greens you should still pre-cut. And even if you have fat carrots, you know, the feed chute's easy because you can put it in there, but I've had fat carrots or fat beets put in the machine, and then when it will basically stop the motor up because it doesn't have enough torque to compensate for the larger feed chute. Although the motor is rated at 240 watts, I would discourage you from comparing the wattage and being more wattage equals better, because despite this having more wattage, you know, this machine and this machine have like a 150 watt motor, I believe, and the Slowstar has 200 watts. So I guess it all depends on the design overall of the juicer. Once again, we're going to let this run a little bit longer to get all the juice out. I think we're pretty much good and stopped, and we're going to go ahead and reverse this a little bit. And we're going to run it forward, see if we can finally get any more juice out. Alright, I think we're pretty much done getting all the juice out, so you guys can see that we made all this carrot juice. We'll close all the spout caps, and now we're going to go ahead and move these juices up front and center to show you guys actually which juicer made more juice, as well as kind of maybe look at the foam created on each juicer as well. And we're going to go ahead and give you guys a close-up, you know, on the camera. All right, let's go ahead and give you guys a close-up. So starting over on the VSJ843, you guys can see this is how much juice it made. And we could compare that easily to the Slowstar right next to it. And you guys could see if you look closely, the Slowstar basically made a little bit more juice than the VSJ843. Also, it appeared to make a little bit less foam than the VSJ843. All right, comparing the Slowstar to the Nama. Look at that. If we try to look very closely, looks like the Slowstar actually made a little bit more juice also than the Nama, and maybe the Slowstar maybe made a little bit less foam than the Nama, just by a little bit. All right, let's go ahead and compare the Kuvings to the Nama. So Kuvings on the left side, right side is the Nama. So you could see the Kuvings actually made less juice than the Nama. So if we just kind of look at this a little bit further back, you guys could clearly see Slowstar made the most juice, followed by Nama and VSJ, and then Kuvings made the least amount of juice when juicing these carrots. Let's go ahead and pop out the Slowstar because we know that made the most juice. And let's go ahead and move into place the VSJ and the Nama so you guys can see the difference on that. So if we look very closely, I mean, oh my God, look at that. If you look closely at where the lines are, I mean, for all practical purposes, it made the same yield. Although if you look closely at the foam, looks like maybe the VSJ made a little bit more foam, as evidenced by the foam layer, but it's not significant. There's still a nice level of foam on the Nama. And then go ahead and moving over the Kuvings juice, which is this, next to the VSJ juice. We're playing musical juices here. Kuvings did make less than the VSJ 843 juice. And then finally, we're going to go ahead and compare the Slowstar over right here, which made the most juice, to the Kuvings, which actually made the least juice. So this is actually quite interesting. I think that all juicers made a similar amount of foam, and you know, it is touted that the Nama has a 17 RPM spinner and that makes less foam. Well, I haven't seen any significantly less foam between these juicers because of a little bit slower 30 RPM slower running you know, wiping blade in this situation. All right, so you guys clearly saw that the Slowstar was the winner of the yield between all these juicers. You know, made a little more juice than the others. The VSJ and the Nama were basically neck and neck. I mean, they use a similar juicing technology from the same exact factory, although, you know, I kind of prefer the VSJ style just because it's a bit easier to clean. I want to go ahead and try the juices, so here we're going to try the VSJ juice first. If I sample that, I mean, it tastes like carrot juice. I do taste some particulate in there. If I had to rate the particulate between 1 and 10, 10 being most particulate and 1 being like 0 particulate, you know, I'd say it's probably about a 3 on the particulate scale. And then, you know, so that's, let's see, 10 most, 3 least. That's pretty low. The Slowstar juice. This is why this juice is created more, because there's definitely a more notably pulp action in the juice. This is the insoluble fiber that is put through the juicer, through the juicing screen into the juice. And if I had to rate this between 1 and 10, I'd say this is probably about a 7 would be my guesstimate. So there's definitely, you know, more pulp over on the Nama juice. I'd say that's almost equivalent to the VSJ, maybe a tad less pulp than the VSJ. I'd say that's maybe a 2. And then down to the Kuvings juice. Surprising. There's less pulp, but then there's a bit more pulp. So I'd probably say that's like a 4 in the scheme of things. So basically, what do we learn? We learned that the Nama made the least pulp, then followed by maybe the VSJ, the Kuvings, and then followed the Slowstar had the most pulp in the juice. Now, another thing that I want to discuss for you guys is, you know, what do you got to clean when you're done juicing? And that to me is a stickler here. So we're going to take apart this juicer. You guys can see that underneath here is pretty much clean. the main part you're going to have to clean in all the juicers are the main juicing screen and the auger, which are pretty similar. But I want to hold this guy up for you guys, and we will take off the wiping blade off this for you guys so you guys can see. This is what the screen looks like on the VSJ843. It's pretty clean. I mean, yeah, you can see some grit and some pulp and whatnot, but you don't see anything ground into the holes. And then once again, if we do the Slowstar, take apart this, pretty much clean on the bottom there. And if we pull this whole auger housing out, and we're going to keep the wiping blade down, and look at that screen there on the bottom. This is what I'm talking about that most people don't ever really comprehend or understand. This has a lot more ground in pulp. Not a lot, you know, but we didn't juice a lot. The more you juice, the more ground in pulp there'd be. But on the VSJ, basically, there's a lot less ground in pulp. So this means more scrubbing to get the ground in pulp out of the juicer there. All right. Next, on the Namo, take this baby apart. On the Namo, underneath here, you know, there is a few different pulp fragments that you'll need to clean. And let's go ahead and pull out the screen on this machine as well. And if you guys could see the screen on this guy, right, there's more pulp coming out through the holes than the VSJ for sure, but it's not quite as much as the Slowstar. So this is also going to be, you know, maybe a little more difficult to clean than the VSJ, but easier than the Slowstar in terms of getting the junk out of the holes. And then finally we got the Kuvings. On the Kuvings, if we take this baby apart, you know, you guys can see, you know, there's pretty significant, you know, pulp in the, you know, the feed chute top. This is because of the design. These designs encourage the pulp more to go through and actually get juiced, but this is one of the sacrifices you will have with a large feed chute, and this is why this yielded less, because some of the pulp that came through these juicers that it was able to get the juice out, still sitting in the top here. In addition, you know, there's probably a bit more pulp here inside the auger that did not get run through the machine, just once again due to the design, and that's going to definitely play a role in getting a little bit less yield. But at the same time, you got the less yield, but you also had maybe less pre-cutting if you're juicing things like apples or big produce items such as watermelon, right? And so let's go ahead and compare the Kuvings, which, you know, has, you know, some residual pulp, you know, coming out of the holes, to the Slowstar. So I mean, I think these, you know, are fairly equivalent in the pulp squeezing out, comparing the Kuvings to the Nama. The Kuvings has more pulp, you know, ground in than the Nama, and then of course comparing the Kuvings to the VSJ has the least ground in pulp. Ground in pulp, honestly guys, it's one of my pet peeves. I don't like ground in pulp. I don't want to scrape down the screen sometimes with a butter knife to get the pulp dislodged, because if you try to scrub it with a brush, it takes significantly longer, but if you scrape it down with a butter knife first, then brush it, then it's a lot easier to clean, right? And this you get a lot of ground in pulp on a twin gear juicer, such as the Green Star Elite or Green Star Pro that I also use. And you know, this also draws me to the VSJ843. All right. So at the end of this episode, what is my summary? Because you can't get the VSJ right now and you really want one, what should you do? So number one, I would encourage you guys to get juicing today. Don't hold it off. You know, although Omega says they're going to be in on 10/2, you know, I wouldn't bet money on that because due to the past delays that have occurred, I'm not 100% confident in Omega to deliver on time at this point anymore, unfortunately. Also, you know, their customer service, although my customers have gotten helped as far as I'm aware, you know, their customer service needs to be improved, in my personal opinion. But also put the least pulp in the juice. So, I mean, it depends on how you look at it, will determine on what juicer is the best. Like, you know, if you want the best customer service, go with the Tribest, go with the Slowstar machine, right? If you want the most yield, you don't care about pulp in the juice, go with the Slowstar machine, right? If you want the easiest cleaning, you know, just want to make juice and, you know, have a pretty hassle-free time, go with the Omega. You know, hopefully you don't have problems with it, because then it's a whole different issue trying to get all the service. You know, on the Nama, if you don't mind that short 2-year warranty, which does bother me, you know, although I am told that if there are issues beyond 2 years, they'll take care of you. But, you know, in writing, the only thing on paper is 2 years, so that's what we have to go by. You know, then go with the Nano because that's actually the second easiest to clean after the VSJ. Made the same yield as the VSJ and even put a little bit less pulp in the juice, as the VSJ also has, you know, the multi-function capabilities included with the machine. I got to say also, the packaging on the NEM is the tops. It's just really nice. They've done a good job. And it, you know, this is a solid, durable juicer, you know, made by a company that's been making juicers. And that actually makes the VSJ843. Although Nama, you know, if you need support, maybe email them, don't call them, because I still haven't gotten a phone call back. Although after this video, I sure will be. And they probably won't be happy about this, but, you know, hey, I'm a customer too, and I want to know your guys' experience. If you call, you know, after the fact, I think I did check yesterday or the day before, and it's somewhere I saw that they're having problems with their phones, so they recommend email, actually. So I will disclose that as well. And then over on the Kuvings, you know, here's the thing, you know, if you don't want to pre-cut items and you're not going to be juicing things like celery and leafy greens, then the Kuvings may be the best for you because of that large feed chute. But know this, you will give up some yield. You know, plus this machine costs more than the other machines. So, you know, each juicer has their own intricate pros and cons. Hopefully after watching this video, you've learned some of them today. And, you know, here's the thing, like, what juicer would I buy if I couldn't get the VSJ and I need to get one, like, now? Because here's the thing, I don't want you guys to wait on juicing, right? I mean, with the COVID, the pandemic still around, right? Juicing to me is one of the best ways I boost up my immune system. And that's why I drink so much juice during this you know, pandemic, you know, especially drinking things like horseradish root juice, you know, mixed in with other root vegetables, as well as carrots with the carotenoids and anti-cancer compounds, and with ginger and turmeric shots that have anti-inflammatory compounds, and, you know, and all the different fruits and vegetables have a whole selection of different vitamins and minerals. So, you know, so if you're waiting till, you know, 10/2 October to get the VSJ, and then it doesn't come in, and then it's not going to be available till November, and then you're still going to wait till December, January, February. I mean, I don't know when it's ever going to come in. I mean, it should be coming in. They didn't discontinue it, but I'm not exactly really sure what's going on at Omega. So I'd encourage you guys to get a juicer now. And I think of all these machines, what I would personally get at this point, I'd get a Slowstar. Here's why. Made the most yield, if you don't mind the pulp in the juice. Right, has a 10-year warranty. It's made in Korea, and the company got back to me within 1 day for customer service issues. So, and the flexibility of this machine, you know, overall, because it has that whole mincing attachment, and it's $20 less than the VSJ843 with a full 10-year warranty. After that, if I had to choose which one would I get, I'd probably go with the Nama. I don't know, between the Nama and the Kuvings, that's tough, because this, I mean, the 2-year warranty and the small feed chute really bothers me a lot. But the quality of the juice, and that there's less pulp in the juice, and maybe it's a little bit easier to clean than the Kuvings. Yeah, I'll probably go with the Nama as my third choice. I get this guy. Despite the 2-year warranty, which bothers me, and the small feed chute, it did perform well. I mean, pretty much on par, similar to the VSJ, so you're going to get the same juicing performance with a few extra parts, so you could do multi-functions, and hopefully, I mean, I'm pretty confident this machine is made solidly, but I will also say 2-year warranty on these parts here. You know, the most likely part to fail on your juicer is a juicing screen. In general, juicing screens run about $80. I don't know what Nama prices them out at. So really, if you get something like a Slowstar and your screen breaks after the 3rd year, 5th year, 8th year, you know, they're going to cover the screen under warranty at no cost to you, aside from maybe a small shipping charge. Whereas with the Nama, the screen busts after 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. You're probably going to have to buy another one. That's another $80 you got to plunk down. They already had to plunk down for the, you know, expensive juicer, so, you know, I'm not a fan of that. But the results of this juicer speak for themselves. Oh, and I'm not a fan of the smaller feed chute and just getting clogged up near the top. You'll see another video where I juice the Nama versus the VSJ, and you'll see the significant difference it makes in time when juicing certain produce items. I guess, unfortunately, at the bottom of the totem pole in this particular comparison, juicing this exact recipe and what we're talking about today, is the Kuvings. I dislike the Kuvings the most because of it's $50 more, number one. This is $20 less. This is the same price as the VSJ. This is $50 more, and it actually didn't make the highest yield, and I'm not a big fan of all the extra pulp that's created, that's put, into the juicing parts, and it actually doesn't get into the cup there. Although I do like the ease and convenience of the Kuvings, and also Kuvings has better support, than Omega and probably Nama. Well, that's what I'm going to say at this point. My experience at this point is sharing that. So that's pretty much the roundup. This video was pretty long, but hopefully you guys learned about the different vertical juicers and the best vertical juicers that are out today from South Korea in this episode. So if you guys enjoyed this content, enjoyed my work, please support me by making your purchase at discountjuicers.com. This allows me to continue to make my educational videos, that allows me to, put out the truth, because nobody else is sharing on how this many juicers work and compare against each other. Because if you're, normally people, if you're an Omega, company, you're going to say, oh, our juicer's the best. You're going to say Nama's the best. I try to be an independent, third-party, independent consumer, because I juice every day. I use these juicers on a regular basis. I know how they work, and I want to explain that to you because I want you guys to have an easy, hassle-free juicing experience when you use a juicer properly and get the best machine for you, so that you can become juicers for life, and more importantly, change your life by including these nutrient-dense fruit and vegetable juices that contain copious amounts of phytonutrients, antioxidants, vitamins, and minerals, so you guys could bombard your body with some of the best nutrition on the planet, in my personal opinion. And your support and purchase at discountjuicers.com allows me to do just that. I'll post links down below in the description, as well as the first comment to each of these machines on our website, so that you guys can order these guys without delay and start juicing today. So I appreciate you guys' support, who will support me, and I will thank you guys for those of you guys have supported me and bought a juicer from me in the past. It is how I'm able to make my living, so I appreciate that so much. If you guys enjoyed this content or more content like this, be sure to give this video a thumbs up. Also, please be sure to share this to other people that are thinking the VSJ843 is discontinued, or they just want to simply find the best vertical slow juicer out there for them. Also, be sure to click that subscribe button right down below so you don't miss out on my new upcoming episodes coming out about every 5 to 7 days. You never know where I'll share or what you'll be learning on my YouTube channel, or what new juicers I'll be comparing. In the future, I'll be having a dedicated video on the Nama and an unboxing video, as well as comparing the Nama to the VSJ, the Nama to the Slowstar, and the Nama to the Kuvings more in detail in each of those videos. Okay? And make sure you click the little bell so you get notified as my new videos come out. Finally, be sure to check my past episodes. My past episodes are wealth of knowledge, over 500 episodes at this time on this YouTube channel, dedicated to comparing and contrasting all the different major brand juicers, so that you guys could buy the right juicer for you the first time and not have to worry about returns. Finally, I would like to say that we have a price matching policy at discountjuicers.com, so if you do find a lower price on any of the juicers that we do offer at Discount Juicers, I'm glad to match the delivered price of any other authorized retailer selling the product, to gain your business, not only with the service I'm providing before the sale, which includes all these educational videos that I spent hundreds of thousands of hours on creating over the last 10 years here on YouTube, but also the service you're going to get after the sale. If you can't get warranty service from Nama or from Omega or Tribest, let me know. I will escalate your situation to some of the top people in the company to make sure your warranty situation is taken care of as soon as possible. And there's nobody else that I'm aware of that can do this for you, aside from me, at this time. So your business is much appreciated, and of course I have that price match policy, so you will go with me, so that I'm just basically matching the price, and you're not going to think that you got a better price somewhere else, because I always try to, I'm called Discount Juicers, and I strive to live by that, as much I'm humanly able, for other authorized dealers that may have a lower price by chance. All right. But I would encourage you guys actually to pay full price, so that it allows me to continue my mission, my work to educate people about the power of the fresh fruits and vegetables, and getting more of them into you, so you guys can get healthier and get their benefits. All right? So with that, my name is John Kohler with DiscountJuicers.com. Be sure to visit DiscountJuicers.com for special promotional offers for our YouTube visitors.